The two individuals that came to your house with the guns showed you pictures?
Yeah.
And you told them what?
I told them I was willing to pay them the amount that they wanted, but my brother wasn't working at the time, so it was gonna be pretty hard for me to pay it all off at once. I gave him my phone number. I told him to text me when they had the full amount, and maybe we could have like a payments plan on it, maybe paying like $100 a week. I was taking responsibility of it.
Yes.
Even though they didn't have any evidence of my dogs actually doing it.
I didn't look at the photos.
Of course
I can't look at...
It's tough.
Yeah.
There was an incredible amount of blood all over our house, too, because we had to bring the animals inside to do their care.
Did you see Chinook after this incident?
Not in the same day. It was actually the next day in the morning. He was waiting outside for me to open the gate so he could get in. Then when he got in the house, he just lay down and fainted.
Neither of your dogs had blood on them.
Chinook did.
He did?
Oh, like in the mouth?
Anywhere other than where you...
No, just in the wound.
Just the wound?
Yeah.
Mr. Mitchell, you mentioned earlier that this was the second time his dogs have been...
That's correct, Your Honor.
When was the first time?
First time they had butchered a bunch of our Flemish rabbits, which are big-sized rabbits.
These two same dogs?
Yeah, same dogs.
You were there?
And I was there when that happened. And I personally chased them off. They ran into my neighbor's property and began to chase around the cows. I let my neighbor know. He had said that he contacted him and let him know that his pit bulls were moving around on his cows and couldn't have that be the case. He said he was going to resolve the issue, make sure they didn't get out anymore. I was content with that, just as long as it doesn't happen again.
Okay.
And when it happened again, that was when I was like, we need to bring an end to this, because I have a very young, very petite daughter, and if she was down with the goats and the sheep, I can't tell you what may have happened to her if she was down there at this time.
Mr. Magana, have you had other neighbors complain about your dogs being in their yard?
My other neighbor, I believe he's a fireman. He complained about my dogs because they were getting into his property. I told him that I was gonna try to resolve it, and I was buying chains, leashes, trying to cover all the holes in the property, but there was always something that the dogs could do to get out of the property. I even tried to keep the dog in the property, buying him one of those
Shock collars?
leash.
Yeah.
The ones that got like spikes.
Yeah.
But that didn't work because he was getting injured because of it.
Yeah.
And I also bought one of the ones that beep every time he gets out of the property.
But nothing has worked?
No, nothing worked.
Where are your two dogs now? Well, one I know you believe is dead.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry about that. Mac, you gave away?
Yeah, I gave it away to a friend. You know,
Why?
Because I was scared of him getting shot.
Why do you think your pit bull was shot?
Maybe because they saw him into their property, you know.
Why do you think it might have been the plaintiff?
Maybe he thinks that my dog was a threat to his family or his pets.
And Mr. Mitchell, I'm assuming that you deny.
Your Honor,
that accusation.
I have never treated animals in the capacity that he's alleging. We've never threatened to use a gun. We're well within our rights. We understand California law that indicates that we are allowed to defend our livestock, our animals, our pets, our property against vicious dogs. We never have done so, nor did we see a need to use any form of deadly force.
I'm going to open it up for my colleagues.
Mr. Mitchell, how many animals were actually killed?
I believe it was a total of 13.
And how did you evaluate the value of each of these animals?
I took the animals that my kids had intended to raise and sell for their FFA projects. I took the lowest value that I could find online. I took the baby pet lowest sum.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm good.
All right, I think we'll excuse the parties while we deliberate in this matter.
This courtroom is now in recess.
First of all, those were some of the most difficult photos I've had to see. But I actually think what the defendant did here was pretty outrageous. He had pit bulls on his property that just kept getting out.
Yeah.
To me, liability is obvious, and I don't have any concern with the amount of damages he's seeking. I would have given him more.
I was a little surprised. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
he had a slew of animals.
Yeah.
So I thought that the amount was fair for sure.
I agree. And, you know, I don't know much about coyotes, but I always thought that they killed to eat. And it just seemed to me that these animals were killed almost for sport.
We had two eyewitnesses who both
Yeah.
said they were dogs. I don't think anyone has given us a reason to doubt the young boy's accounts. And
I'm not understanding the defendant's testimony about his dog being hurt. Well, who hurt the dog? And that tells you that he was on someone else's
Yeah,
property.
and he,
to me, that was
disappeared that same day.
Yeah, I
Didn't
don't-
come home till the next day.
I
Was
don't
he out
understand.
on
To me,
a...
that was the clincher in terms of identity.
Even if the dog had disappeared and come home the next day
Right.
not injured, that would have been good enough to me. So I think we're good on
Good.
liability and damages.
We have a verdict.
And we have a
We do.
unanimous verdict.